Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over Live. As we approach this week's Academy Awards, one film has been generating some major controversy. Philomena from the Weinstein Company is nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It tells the tale of a woman who seeks to find the child she gave up for adoption in the early 1950s. My next guest objects not only to assertions made by the film, but to its characterization of the Sisters of the Sacred Heart, who ran the so-called Magdalene Laundry so central to the story. Joining us from New York via satellite is the president of the Catholic League, Bill Donohue. Bill, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Raymond.
Now, Bill, this is about a woman's personal search for her son. It's been nominated for Oscars. It's made $89 million at the box office. Here is what the screenwriter and co-star of the film, Steve Coogan, told ABC News. Listen.
What drove you to this story?
I read it in the newspaper 4 years ago. If you had a child out of wedlock 50 years ago in Ireland, your family would often disown you. And so these mother and baby homes were set up, and if you're a young woman who's pregnant, you'd go in there, you'd have your child. The child would be sold to a Catholic, often wealthy American couples.
What's wrong with that, Bill? Philomena Lee, in real life, went to one of these Magdalene homes, and Mr. Coogan claims she had this experience.
Look, her mother died when she was young. The father had six kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. He kept the boys. He put the girls in a convent school. In 1952, at the age of 18, Philomena Lee got pregnant out of wedlock. The choice was for her to keep the baby, the street, or the abbey. Well, she couldn't take care of the baby herself. She didn't want to live in the street. There were no atheist homes for her. So the nuns took her in because the father brought her to the nuns and asked them if they would take her in. She signed papers when she was 22, not a teenager. She's 22 years of age. She voluntarily signed a consent form giving up custody of her son. She never went to the United States looking for her. It's been a lie from the very beginning. She never set foot in the United States until November of 2013 to hawk the movie. But in the movie, it has her going with Coogan, it was basically the guy who's the author, Martin Sixsmith, coming looking for this son frantically. Look, the son died of AIDS in 1995. She never made any attempt to see the son. She lied to her own daughter, Jane Liberton, never told her own daughter that she actually had a brother, because she just kept it a secret until she got loaded at a Christmas party in 2004. And everything I've said is not a matter of dispute. It's indisputable, and I have the facts, and I've annotated it in a lengthy article. It's up on our Internet Catholic League. Nobody can dispute anything I've said, and they haven't even tried to.
But we keep hearing, and every time this story is covered, every time Judi Dench is interviewed, or Philomena herself, we keep hearing and reading the child was taken from her by the sisters and essentially sold to the highest bidder. What's wrong with that depiction?
Well, you know, it has the image of these kidnapping nuns running down the streets of Ireland in 1952 looking for pregnant girls and fallen women and then bringing them in. What actually happens, I said, the father brought Philomena there at the age of 18. She has this kid, she doesn't know what to do with him. She voluntarily signs the consent form, giving up custody, and then a couple from the Midwest agrees to adopt the baby. There was no charge. There was absolutely no fee whatsoever. They decided, as people often do, to give a donation. Now, there is a profound difference between a fee that is charged and a donation. And I think these people like the Weinsteins and Judi Dench and Sixsmith and Coogan and the whole rest of this team and all the complicit media, they know the difference. It'd be like saying, well, when a Catholic lights a candle, you have a cash box there. You're not required to put $1 in there to light a candle, but if you would like to make a donation, that's fine. In the book, they actually admit to some of this, but they're selling this as saying they were sold to the highest bidder. It's an out-and-out lie. Now, what really bothers me is this, Raymond. If you look at the book, Philomena, by Martin Sixsmith, which Coogan plays him in the movie, in the prologue, the last paragraph, first sentence, it says everything in this book is true, comma, or Well, why the or? As soon as you have an or, it's not everything. And the or is that it's reconstructed to the best of my ability. Gaps have been filled. Incidents have been surmised. I mean, if they're pressed out on Dan Brown with his pack of lies about the Da Vinci Code, when they're pressed, they say, well, yeah, it's true, we fictionalize some things. You fictionalize everything, and everything they did was to paint the nuns as cruel. The nuns were the ones who took her in. The nuns were the ones who got her the job, and the alternative was the street. Why they don't tell the truth is something which I think is the good reason why the Catholic League is in business.
Now, the New York Post film critic Kyle Smith, whom I spoke with, he said that this is nothing more than organized hate, a hateful and boring attack on the Catholic Church. Now, Bill, some would say you are being used by Harvey Weinstein in his rally, his attempt to rally Academy voters, and by continually criticizing the film, you're only drawing more attention to his cause. What would you say to that?
I would say that if this were a B movie and was being shown at the artsy theaters here and there, and it wasn't up for an Oscar, I think that argument might carry some validity. The fact of the matter is, I didn't bring it to the attention of the Oscar people. The Weinsteins have an enormous amount of money. This is their 8th anti-Catholic movie. They're well known. He has the personal phone number of the President of the United States and Hillary Clinton. They don't need Bill Donohue to do it. Now, if I didn't say anything about a movie which has been this well hawked by the establishment, I might as well close the doors of the Catholic League. Am I giving it more attention? Maybe so, but I'm also getting the facts out to people. When we wind up on the front page of the Sunday Times in London and in Dublin just recently, and we get these people, their back is against the wall, and they're trying to answer these questions now, trying to look at the wiggle room they have, I think we're breaking through. And so I'm very happy with the tack that we've taken. I'm really wondering, why are the media cooperating and accepting all of these unsubstantiated statements?
Bill, I had emails this week when people heard you were coming on the show, and they said, now, wait a minute, Philomena met with Pope Francis, and he loved the film. This has been widely reported. You'd say what?
You know, it was in January of this year that Harvey Weinstein went over to Switzerland to meet with some Vatican officials to try to get them to have the Pope watch the movie. He failed. The Pope has never seen the movie. Don't take my word. Father Federico Lombardi of the Holy See press office has said he doesn't watch these movies. What happened is that a master of ceremonies, not the private secretary to the Pope, a master of ceremonies, one of 9, and another Vatican official did preview it. She didn't get the personal meeting with the Pope. She was part of a general audience. I have a picture of them standing behind, beside a wall, reaching over to the Pope. All the Pope did, we have the pictures, we have the audio. The Pope said thanks. That's it. There was no private meeting. So the lies never stopped. Now the latest lie is that she found her son. Her son died in 1995, right in the very grounds of the convent, which helped her out. I mean, they just simply lie all the time. And if they are so right and I am so wrong, do you think any one of them would have the guts to confront me on TV?
Before we leave Philomena, now this is Jeff Pope. He is the co-screenwriter, and he's seemingly responding to your criticisms. Listen.
It's not an assault on the Catholic Church at all. You know, absolutely isn't. I think what happens during the course of the story is that Martin comes to respect Philomena's faith. In terms of faith, I think it's Martin is quite awed by the strength of Philomena's faith. I think what the target is, and I think this is true of a lot of problems that beset the Catholic Church at the moment, is really it's about truth and reconciliation rather than trying to hide things and cover them up. And I think this is part of that process. I think it's about being honest about what happened in the past.
Bill, do you accept that explanation?
The honesty about the matter is that they're lying about that as well. You know, every time I confront a piece of artwork or sculpture or it's a movie, every time we're insulted, I'm always told that I misinterpreted. I've never gotten it right, ever. It's always a love letter. I guess somehow went right over my head. So when I can't use the word, and I'm not even going to use an abbreviation. It's a very obscene word. the so-called Catholic Church. I guess I missed the point on that too. Look, when you lie about my religion and you can't substantiate it, and as I say, I've annotated this, I have the proof that I'm correct on everything. I didn't make this stuff up. And you're going to now come back and say that she's the great hero. She says, I forgive the nuns. No, honey, you need to forgive the nuns for lying about them and telling your malicious, obscene lies, along with Harvey Weinstein and the rest of them associated with this movie.
Finally, Frontline aired a special last week, Bill, called The Secrets of the Vatican, which really went after Benedict XVI, particularly his policies regarding sexual abuse. Your take?
Well, the game that is being played by the Catholic left and the secular left, there's really not that much difference between the two of them, quite frankly, is that we got good pope, bad pope. Okay, the bad pope is Benedict, and to some extent John Paul II. We got to make the villain out of Pope Benedict XVI, who did more, by the way, to deal with the question of sexual abuse of minors than any pope. And then they can they're in a position to elevate Francis. Now, I love Francis too, but what they're doing is they're inflating him. This is part of the game. So he's going to come to the rescue, and he's going to do all these wonderful changes and whatnot. And it's a slam on Pope Benedict XVI. I will not be part of it. I love Benedict and I love Francis, but this is the game that is being played by the left.
You've been embroiled recently in this controversy about the St. Patrick's Day parade. You and the Catholic League march every year. There's been controversy. The mayor of New York, de Blasio, has said he's not going to march out of protest because gays are not allowed to march in the parade. Now the New York City Council is joining him. Your response?
Again, people are factually incorrect. This is not a matter of opinion. Gays have never been barred in over 200 years from marching in the St. Patrick's Day parade. I have gone on the radio and personally invited homosexuals to march with the Catholic League, provided you be like everybody else, which seems to be a hard thing to do these days, and that is just simply blend in. Look, the St. Patrick's Day parade, I know John Donohue, he's a friend of mine, he runs the parade committee. They have a rule which says it's about St. Patrick, not anything else. Pro-life people can march in the parade, just like gays. Pro-lifers cannot have their own banners, their own contingent, their own float. So according to the logic of these people, if the St. Patrick's Day parade is anti-gay, it must be anti-life. Now, everybody knows this. There's nobody who's claiming victim status except for homosexuals. They're the ones who want to crash the parade. If I wanted to get into their gay pride parade with my own float, with big banners saying straight is great, they would have a right to feel put upon, and I wouldn't do that to them. You know, they just don't want to blend in like everybody else. And if people think that I'm exaggerating this, take a look at the pictures of the gays in the parades in Queens in New York, and Sunnyside and Woodside, and in Dublin. They don't dress like normal people. They don't act like normal people. And when it comes to the gay pride parade, I have seen and have pictures of them going naked in the streets. I know where they want to go with this. And all I want is a day for St. Patrick. They don't believe in tolerance. They don't believe in diversity. We won in the Supreme Court of the United States. If they want to have their parade, fine. But they can't crash ours or lie about it.
You released your annual report on anti-Catholicism this week. What can people expect there? And are the incidents of anti-Catholicism lessening or increasing, in your opinion, according to your research, and why?
I think there's a shift. It used to be that the greatest source of anti-Catholicism in this country came from the media. What's more pernicious than being bashed by the media is when you're being threatened by the government. And I mean the federal, state, and local government, and particularly this administration, which seeks to crush the little sisters of the poor, simply because they won't accept abortion-inducing drugs as part of their health plan, and because they actually service non-Catholics, which is one of their great strengths. So we go over that in the annual report, the HHS mandate. We have a big section on Bill Maher, all right, and all the things that he said about the Catholic Church. There's some good news, people. In the last 6 weeks, while Bill Maher has told some off-color jokes about Catholics, he has refrained from one joke painting priests or the Pope or any of the bishops as child molesters. Now, I enlisted the support of the bishops at the end of 13, and all kinds of people and thousands of emails got them. The message has been delivered. So we cover that. We cover our great big victory working with the real hero, Archbishop Gomez out of L.A. Catholic League played a major role as a lay organization in the victory there when Jerry Brown, the governor, I give him credit, for vetoing this pernicious bill, which would only apply to the Catholic community, but not to the public schools. So, yeah, there's a lot of rich documentation there. But I do think the biggest, I don't know if the volume has changed, but the genre have changed. The source of anti-Catholicism has changed, and it's even worse, as I say, when it comes from the government.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. Be sure to look for Bill Donohue's op-ed in the March 3rd edition, Monday, of the New York Times. And you can follow Bill Donohue and all of his work at the Catholic League at catholicleague.org.